everybody. I'm Sean Reynolds from Sportsnet, about to be joined by Ken Weeb from the Winnipeg Free Press. Together, we are Kenny and Renny, and this is the Kenny and Renny post-game show after, yes, Game 56 for the Winnipeg Jets. I don't want to start there. I would like to start with the reason why we pushed this show back. I know a lot of you were watching what I was just watching. The very end of a legendary career by a legendary Manitoban, one of the best ever, if not the best ever to do it. Jenny Jones made it interesting right down to the wire. And I'm going to tell you this, that last shot, if it had managed to sneak by that rock without rubbing, I honestly think she had that thing won. That was, well, she took us on a ride. I got to say, Jennifer Jones, absolute Canadian legend. Have always admired her. I always used to think you'd hear a lot of people who would really criticize Jennifer Jones because of her demeanor. And I used to think that was crazy. And I've said this in the past, like guys like Michael Jordan, when he had that kind of killer instinct and that, a little bit of an edge to him, we talked about how great and how what a winner he was. Same thing with Tiger Woods. I mean, Tiger Woods sometimes would go and throw hissy fits on the golf course at times, but would go out and had this kind of attitude where he could get a little bit edgy and whatever. And we talk about how great those guys. Jennifer Jones had that going on. And in my estimation, because she was a woman, people took umbrage with that, which I always thought was ridiculous. Jennifer Jones went out, she competed, and a lot of people didn't like the fact that she went out and she competed in a manner where she showed that nothing mattered to her but winning. I always thought it was ridiculous that she had to put up with that. One of the greatest of all times, who conducted herself as a champion right from the beginning, from that outside in shot that she did. I was at a university. I was doing a sports broadcast at Ryerson University that day, and one of the things that we delivered was her pulling that off. I still remember the celebration. I was so proud as a Manitoban living in Ontario to be able to bring like curling and her making that shot. That was the beginning of it. She took us on a ride right from the beginning to the end. Congratulations on a phenomenal career, Jennifer Jones. It was so much fun to watch you do what you did. Thank you very much. To the game, one of our American listeners and watchers suggested that we may see Krabby Renny tonight, and I'm thinking, you Americans, do you not get it? Do you not get this thing? And my response was, whatever could he be talking about? Perfect game, perfect performance, perfect effort. That's a blueprint game. Lock it down, do that, repeat that over and over again. And the Stanley Cup is right here in Winnipeg sometime this June. That's it. Lock it down. That is what you are trying to repeat out there night after night after night. No, that's not the case. Krabby Renny has arrived. And I'm going to tell you this. These are the kind of games that helped establish heel Renny, the bad guy. If I was a wrestling bad guy, I think my name would be, there's Triple H. Well, I'd be Double T. I'd be the truth teller, because I know that there's a lot of people who don't like hearing me talk about games like this and not say anything other than what an amazing gutsy effort by them to pull out that victory against a team that hasn't won in 12 straight games. What a gutsy victory they pulled out there. Great job, everyone. I know what kind of people you are who think that and get mad when I don't say that. You're the kind of people who used to tease dogs when you were young. You're the kind of people who had a little brother or sister, and you take a piece of candy and you dangle it over their head and they jump and you pull it away and you'd laugh, and it was funny because they were 2 feet shorter than you, and you'd have a good time with them. And it was all the best. That's the kind of people who love those kind of Jets games. And lots of people do, because what you saw tonight, that's the Winnipeg Jets of 2019, 2020, 2021. We don't need to put in a good effort here. We'll coast. We'll do this. We'll do that. We'll skill it out. Our goaltender will stand on his head. We'll get a little bit of luck, and then we'll pull this game out here. Paul R says, keep it humble, Double T. I love it. To me, this game is a carbon copy of the game against the Chicago Blackhawks, another team that had one win in their last 12 games. They now go back-to-back games against two teams that have combined for one win in each of their last 12 games combined between the two of them. Those two teams go to the wire against the Winnipeg Jets, and the Winnipeg Jets, like last game, win it. Last game, they win it on a nice bounce, a nice redirection. Tonight, same thing. They go in. Connor Hellebuyck bails them out as the guy skates through everybody, and then two Coyotes collide with each other, fall down. It's a 3-on-1 with all the time in the world in the back of the net. There you go. Hey, these games were almost carbon copies, right down to the idea that last game there was a wide open net that the Chicago Blackhawks missed, and tonight Connor Hellebuyck makes this great toe save against a player who just, has to flip it up into the open cage and instead puts it into the pad. It's still a great save, just like last game. The fact that Connor Hellebuyck got there made them think twice. But I take a look at these two games and I see that they are carbon copy games. You know what these games are? I've described it in the past as being the tortoise and the hare. These are two games in which the Winnipeg Jets were the hare who won against the tortoise in a photo finish. That's what we saw here on this night. Listen, I think the Winnipeg Jets are different from this year than they were from last year. I've said this before. I asked Rick Bowness about this, if he's taking a look at his team that has won the vast majority of their games on structure this season, and said, maybe, are you leaning a little bit too much lately on good goaltending and digging yourself out of a hole with skill? And he admitted that he didn't go wholesale, but he admitted that's maybe the case lately. But what he said in this is essentially they know that there's little tweaks to be made to get them back to what they need to be doing. And he doesn't feel that they're far off. I agree with that. I think the difference between this team doing this kind of stuff now and in the past is, in the past, it went to snake charmer offense. What I mean by that, it's just the Jets kind of trying to score from distance. They don't do that kind of stuff anymore. I mean, we got to get into the power play. That was great. They're doing a lot of things right. But what I'm seeing from the Jets is what I've seen from them in the past, where they take their foot off the gas pedal and they survive it. Because give the Jets credit, they've won 6 of their last 7 games. They're finding ways to win right now when other good teams around the league are struggling to get points. So you got to give them credit on cruise control. The Winnipeg Jets are able to go and beat teams on cruise control. That can be a good thing. I don't think it's been a good thing for the Winnipeg Jets in the past. In years past, they've put it on cruise control and they haven't found the button to turn it off, and they haven't been able to step on the gas pedal. Again, I don't think that's the case this year. But I'll tell you something, the fact that the Jets have had it in their DNA in the past to do games like this time and time again, it usually leads to something. Just like not long ago, they were playing similar actions like this, that Chicago Blackhawks game that they were down and came and stole it. And we said, listen, they start playing good teams, it's going to catch up with them. And then they went on a 5-game losing streak. They are back to playing that kind of hockey. Can they dig their way out of it? I'm sure they can. I don't look at today's game, other than the 2 points, I don't look at it as a good thing. But can they dig their way out of it? Dig their way out of winning 6 or 7 games? I think they can. Given where this team's been in the past, it's just, I don't like watching games like this. And I don't think everybody does as well. I'll leave you with this. It's taken me now, Jennifer Jones had something to do with this, but it's taken me in the neighborhood of 5 minutes to break this down. My buddy Ryan Butterfield, who played a little bit of pro hockey overseas, was at the game tonight. And I thought he was able to sum this game up in 5 words when it took me 5 minutes. So I'll leave you with that before we bring in Ken. His analysis of this game: lazy hockey, gross to watch. I think he summed it up pretty good. That's my take, and that's Ryan Butterfield's take on the whole thing. Time to bring in the man with the best music in the business to break down the game. Here comes Kenny, everybody.
What?
Ken, before I get to talking about how good you look, Julie Sue is up to it again. She says this whole DNA thing. Come on, the team is not the same by a long shot. They are in a weird funk, but they aren't the same team by a long shot. Julie, I'm going to ask you to stop copying your comments from last year and pasting them in this year's chats. You've been saying this year after year after year, and year after year, the same thing happens. You got to come up with some new material, Julie. But what she is doing right and brand new this time around. This is new. This isn't a copy paste from last year. Julie Sue's giving away a couple pizzas in the show. So hashtag pizza pass. If you want a free pizza, Julie Sue's going to watch this breakdown here and she's going to tell us who wins a pizza. She's got 2 pizzas to give away that she bought for my daughter's band fundraiser. Going to be given away tonight. So hashtag pizza pass, everybody. And she'll take a look at it and let Kenny and I know who the winner is. Ken, you look like $1 million. Black on black on black. This guy's
brown, buddy. This is a brown.
Everybody, it looks black from where I'm sitting right now. Regardless, I think it looks good. Frankie must have thought it looked good. Otherwise, he wouldn't have dressed you in it. I've got another Frankie special on here. Again, pictures that I go back to from years ago in the phone to put this tie with the suit. I think it works. In fact, I know it works. Why? Because Frankie told me to put it together. He told me it would work. And Frankie's never wrong when it comes to this stuff. So if you don't want to be wrong with what you're wearing, head on down to Vittorio Rossi on Corridon Avenue. Walk in, loudly proclaim Kenny and Renny sent you. Ask for Frankie and the boys, and they won't miss. I can promise you that much. Ken, what'd you see in that game there tonight?
Yeah, I can't let you hog all of the attention with all the elaborate, bouquets for Jennifer Jones. I'm just gonna have to get one in quickly here. In my previous life, where we had a Sunday night radio show with my good friend Joe Aiello, the 92 City FM Sunday night sports show.
I've heard of him. I've heard of him before.
We were fortunate enough to have Jennifer on a couple of times, and Joe's the kind of guy that can help put people at ease. And it was during the time where she had the super serious, Captain Serious sort of Jonathan Taves, reputation, and she was just herself, and just was just a treat to speak with. I'll just echo everything that you said. I'm not going to go over all the accomplishments, but she is the GOAT in her sport. She has been a great member of this community and provided a lot of proud moments for a lot of people, Sean, not only, in Winnipeg and Manitoba, but across the world. And great job by Rachel Homan and her team, and to lay out what Jennifer meant to the sport. But she's an inspiration, Sean. She's an inspiration to your kids and many other people around this province. And for that, we salute her and thank her as well. In terms of the game itself, and again, thanks everyone for your patience. Look at this. I mean, looks like we made the right call, Sean. Over 300, almost 350 people in here right now. Thanks for waiting it out, folks. In terms of the game, first half of the first period, absolutely excellent for the Jets. Their second and third periods, not nearly good enough. The Jets lost way too many races to the puck and way too many battles. And for me, those are not the signs of a championship team. But I would also say, again, I'm not going to get out the excuse train, but a lot of teams that are near the top of their division and conference are going through this right now. But it's going to be something that, again, I understand why Rick is exuding confidence at the podium, but this has got to be something that is troubling him, Sean, right? I mean, that's the reality, right? I mean, if you're in a coach's meeting after that game, you're thinking, man, what happened there? Again, I'm not saying Rick was dismissive in his commentary, but I'm not saying he should be concerned about it, but it's definitely something that is on their radar. They can't let their game slip like that come playoff time, come stretch time, and everything leading into that. But at the same time, I would say that the Jets did a lot of things in that first period that would lead you to believe they are going to be able to find their way out of it. And there were some issues in the game. There's no doubt about that. So this was another one of those games where Connor Hellebuck was quietly an excellent player on the ice. In our 3 stars for the paper today, I didn't have Hellebuck as one of the stars, but I would say without Connor Hellebuck's effort in this game, the Jets could have easily lost that game, or whether it was in regulation or in overtime. It was a dominant start, and Sean, I said to you after the first period, man, like the Coyotes had very little interest in the game.
They
Like
stunk.
absolutely no interest.
They stunk.
The only reason they got into the game was with the power play goal, but that was all they needed. All of a sudden, after the first period, Sean, you and I have had some conversations with Andre Tourné over the last couple of years here. This is a guy who is an excellent coach and knows what he's doing. But man, these guys uh, are incredibly talented offensively, but they had no interest in checking in the first period, and that the Jets dominated them and had opportunities, Sean, again to get this game to 4-1. I'm talking about Adam Lowry, patented move on the breakaway, goes 5-hole. It was open for him in a second, but it was closed up. And Connor Ingram makes a great save. Jets had another opportunity to get it to 4-1. And then all of a sudden you look at the other end, and there's Matias Michelli, who was absolutely robbed earlier. There's
Yeah.
Michelli scoring an even strength goal, where the Jets were, a little bit asleep at the wheel. And then in the third period, Sean, and 64 seconds in, the flag bearers for setting the tempo, they gave up a goal that they shouldn't give up. I mean, it's going to happen to all players. I understand that completely. We love everything about what that line does. They are the identity line for the Jets. I wrote about them going into the game against Chicago. But Nino Niederreiter cannot lose that battle to Alex Kerfoot, right? You can't. And then the guy is wide open in front. And there you go. It's a tie game. Nick Schmaltz, 2 goals, the UND product. There he is. He's here, he's there, he's everywhere. Okay.
No, can't leave it. Like, some people are giving solid reviews, some people aren't.
Okay.
Like,
It's
people have to
maxed.
take
My
into
mic is maxed, so
people have to take into account their own settings sometimes as well. We can't have half the show saying that everything's good and half the show saying
okay.
it's not.
There we go.
At
All
some
right.
point, our output's our output.
Okay. Anyways, it's showing that it's well into the green here. But anyways, in terms of the game, there's lots of things that I thought that the Jets did well at times. But I would say the one thing, Sean, and I think it was actually a worse game than the game in Chicago because they gave up way more than they did in Chicago. In Chicago, they barely gave up anything structurally at 5-on-5. But today, man, again, the Coyotes are a much more dangerous team offensively. They've got lots of high end talent, even with Clayton Keller leaving the game in the second period. But they don't defend very well at all. And having said that, Sean, that's why it's concerning the Jets couldn't get the game to 4 or 5 in regulation. Yes, the Coyotes got better as the game went on, but outside of the Keystone Cops play on the winner, I mean that good job by the Jets to make it work on a 3-on-1. But man, if Nick Schmaltz and Sean Dursey don't yard sale behind the net, who knows how that game ends up. So, great job by the Jets in terms of their spacing on that 3-on-1. And here's another great thing, Sean, and we know this about Josh Morrissey. My colleague Mike McIntyre spoke with him while the other scrums were happening. One of the first things Josh identifies on that 3-on-1, who's the man back? Barrett Hayton. How often is Barrett Hayton skating backwards in overtime on a 3-on-1, having to defend Mark Scheifele, Josh Morrissey, and Kyle Connor? I'm going to tell you right now, not very often. So, excellent identification out of the gate. He didn't pass it too early. He didn't pass it too late. He put it right on the tape, in the wheelhouse. It's in the back of the net. Bing, bang, boom. Jets find a way to salvage a game where, quite frankly, they weren't good enough for at least half the game. Rick Bowness thought half the game. I'd say it was probably more than half the game. Either way, it was important for them to get the second point just because of what we've been talking about. Now the Jets, once again, find a way to get themselves back on top of the West in terms of points percentage. We know the games are getting harder as the week goes on. Chicago, then Arizona. St. Louis is in a ridiculous battle now with Minnesota, with Nashville, with Calgary, with Seattle. Arizona, with all due respect, after 12 consecutive losses, they are no longer in the race. They're in next year country once again, and Bill Armstrong will have some decisions to make in terms of what he's going to do with his roster. For the Jets, yeah, I mean, that's enough for the buffet. We'll get into let's dig into some of the other stuff, but that's my kind of opening salvo. I'm here to provide a little bit of calming of the waters, but I didn't like the game at all from the Jets outside of the first period and maybe the first 5 minutes of the second. Certainly didn't like the third. They were very opportunistic in overtime. Now, having said that, Sean, I don't think that the Jersey chance was that dangerous. It kind of like Connor Hellebuck made it, kind of ran him out of real estate, and then they went the other way. So even though they lost the draw, that to me wasn't a dangerous opportunity.
Sorry, before we do get rolling here, I just want to touch on this. Liam Pollock says, why is no reporter bonus asking bonus straight up? Why won't you put Velarde, Ehlers, and Scheifele back together?
Where have you been,
Nothing irritates me more than when people come in firing both guns blazing and calling out reporters for not asking questions when they've asked this question before. Scott Billick asked this question just a couple of
3
days
days ago.
So my like this drives me nuts because it's like when it's like showing up to someone's job and not knowing enough about the job to like busting into the cockpit and saying to a pilot, hey, why aren't you pushing or pulling that button over there when you don't know what the buttons are doing? These are times where you expose yourself as being ignorant and are pointing your finger and trying to blame people for not doing their job when all you're doing is showing off your ignorance. Okay. So this drives me crazy. Ask the question and do it without like accusing people of not doing their jobs, because this was asked and answered already. So, I mean, just think every once in a while that maybe you don't consume every little thing that happens and what you are standing on the top of a mountain and saying no one is doing, and you think it's this vast conspiracy theory. Well, actually, 3 days ago, that question was asked. So do your research on this kind of stuff before you accuse people of being derelict of duty on their jobs.
And even then, people just don't like the answer sometimes. So that doesn't mean the
Sure.
questions aren't being asked. So
Sure. I get it. Anyways, Issue Boy Bruce here says 44 bank pass in the corner, 55 to 55 who scored was pretty cool. It's cool if you like Pee Wee hockey. Like I was saying, I don't know people who scored. This was an exact example of Issue Boy Bruce when Ken was talking about how the Coyotes essentially failed to show up at the beginning of this game. You don't score goals like this at the NHL level. Hockey's not supposed to be so easy that you just flip the puck down the ice and someone beats everybody else and goes in and scores like that. This, to me, is a great example of when everyone kept saying, oh, well, the Winnipeg Jets are at the top of the league and they get everyone's best every single night. When you're top of the league, they get everyone's best. I think that's complete and utter BS. And I think tonight's a perfect example of that. I think sometimes when you are a really good hockey team, teams come in and they're expecting the loss and they don't really show up. This ends up being a game, not because the Arizona Coyotes walk in and say, wow, the Winnipeg Jets are a phenomenal team, we better be at the top of our game. They get into this game because they slowly build confidence as the game goes on, because like Ken said, the Winnipeg Jets took the foot off the gas pedal and basically allowed them to control a wide swath of the game. One of the deservo meters I saw tonight, deserve to win a meters, was what was it, 61% the Coyotes deserve to win that game versus 39 of the Winnipeg Jets. This wasn't the Coyotes coming in prepared to play the best team in the league. This was the Coyotes who came in to take a loss and was like, really? They're going to hand us a win here in this situation? So to me, I go back to that argument. I don't buy that at all. That I don't think the Vancouver Canucks have been getting the very best of every team out there. I don't think the Boston Bruins were earlier in it. Hey, you're going to have a lot of teams who come in and say, okay, it's time to stand up and play well. Usually it's going to be other really good teams. But don't give me that BS that everyone walks in and gives the Winnipeg Jets their absolutely very best on every night, because that first period of the Coyotes was a great example of that. Ken, before we do move on, I want you to give Sweet Lou a shout out.
Right on. For folks who have realty needs they'd like to have met, whether you're buying, selling, curious about what the house on the corner is going for, Lou Ferlin is your guy. Tell him Kenny and Renny sent you. Reach him at 204-791-9971 or at the office, 204-989-5000. His email is lou@louferlin.ca. That's LOU at LOUFURLAN.ca. Lou Ferlin, excellent realtor, excellent human being, and excellent supporter of the community, including this podcast, for which we are grateful.
I love how heated people get when I tell them that the Jets didn't play a very good game. When they didn't play a very good game, hey, Did you hear my wrestling name? The Truth Teller, double T. I'm the wrestling heel. I bring the truth, and it just drives people crazy. Truth hurts. In the end, that would be one of my lines. I would say, in the end, the truth hurts. That's my wrestling gig. When I finally get it off the ground, one of these
Just
days,
quickly,
it's
just
going to happen.
a quick one for
You better
Liam.
not be walking away from this. Is a good analogy that I'm trying to put together here. You look like you're going to say something really serious. What do you got? How are you going to ruin this for me, Ken? Go. Do your thing.
Go for Razor Ramon, and after you throw the toothpick, I'll continue.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Do your thing.
Just a quick one for Liam, since obviously he didn't hear that it was asked about. Nikolai Ehlers is not in a position to play 20 minutes a night right now with his injury. Yes, he made a couple great plays in the third period. One to Nate Schmidt for a backdoor redirection, and another to Vladislav Nemestikov that was stopped by Connor Ingram. But Nikolai Ehlers is not fully healthy. He's dealing with some kind of an ailment that has kept him off the ice and is preventing him from playing 20 minutes a night. So I understand people want him to play more. If he's getting healthier, he might be able to play more. But right now, he's not in a position where he can do that. And it's also clear, Sean, again, Liam, maybe he didn't watch the post-game comments. What's one of the first things Mark Scheifele said to me when I asked him about Kyle Connor? I love playing with Kyle Connor. So we know that that's the preferred line, we know by Rick Bonus's actions that he likes those guys together. He's going to give them a longer response, a little bit more rope. And yes, were there in the first period, the opposition never touched that line. Were they hemmed in on one of the goals by Michelli? Yes, they were. Gabriel Velarde might suggest that there should have been a hooking call in front of the net when he had the puck before that minute and a half shift. But yes, they need to do a better job. He was quick to say that. So was Mark Scheifele. But let's look at the other part of the equation. That line took care of all of the offense. They were on for one against. Yeah, they got all four basically. Yes, two were on the power play. One is a 3-on-3. But for everyone saying it's just as easy as throwing those guys together and it's going to be magic, that's not necessarily the case either. Since the Christmas break, when those guys came out of the break together, they weren't operating at the same level they were when they got on that crazy streak between December 10th and December 22nd. So I do think it's worth trying again at some point, but I don't want, like, for everyone who says they're small sample size. Well, this is the perfect example of small sample size. So anyways, Ehlers will play more when he's healthy. Nick, yes, he needs to do more. Play more. I agree. But right now, I don't think he's ready to play that much more. I thought in the second period, Nikolai, he went down the tunnel, Sean, at one point. It looked like he was getting his equipment taken care of. But I wondered if maybe it was something to do with his hip. Because when he came out in the second period, I didn't think he was skating the same way. He wasn't explosive. Then in the third, he got his legs going again. So anyways, there's lots of things to happen over the last stretch here. This was game 56. The fun part is just beginning, folks. It's going to be an excellent month coming up, and there's a lot we're going to learn about the Winnipeg Jets. We're learning a lot every day, and there's more to learn.
Since the truth teller is out there telling the truth, let's get to the truth about the Winnipeg Jets power play, which is just lights out. All of a sudden, the biggest curse for this team. And hey, a lot of people said at the beginning the Jets would be winning games if they could wake the power play up. And I think what we're seeing here is that that's exactly what's happening. The Jets can largely take large swaths of games off and win it with the power play the way that they've been doing the last couple of games. This is phenomenal. I've got my own thoughts. A lot of it is open up here tonight. Sean Monahan came in on this team and kind of opened things up, and then he's not here tonight, and they just keep going. I've got some big, huge reasons why. But Ken, your take on what is going on with the power play, that it just keeps sizzling and sizzling and sizzling?
Yeah, it's twofold for me. And it's more of like, now it's kind of become they're greater than the sum of its parts right now, where earlier on you thought there's all this talent, but it's just not working for some particular reason. And Sean Monahan deserves an incredible amount of credit for his ability to transform the power play. But here's the beauty of it today, Sean. The beauty in regards to the fact that just because Sean Monahan wasn't there, the power play didn't collapse suddenly because the guy in the bumper wasn't working the bumper. What do? They get the puck down low to Gabriel Velarde. And they over-pursued Velarde and Scheifele, and he found a lane to find Kyle Connor for a vintage one-timer. Oh, the next time you took the one timer away, and Gabriel Velarde said, "Thank you very much. I have a peripheral vision and a sixth sense." He has eyes in the back of his head, gets the puck from Mark Scheifele with his behind to the goaltender, spins in transition, makes it look like he's going to try to stuff it on the forehand, and politely goes to the backhand. And hey, he fanned on the backhand, but who cares? It still looked pretty. He made a great move, beautiful backhand deke, and he scored again. So the beauty of that is Mark Scheifele is a shooting threat. Kyle Connor is a shooting threat. Josh Morrissey is unloading shots early in power plays. And that has opened up the bottom. And Sean, I've been talking about this for several weeks now. This is vintage Paul Stastny 2018 on the goal line. The same way, it's just on the other side. The Jets power play used to run off the right wing boards because Blake Wheeler ran things from the right-hand side. Now it runs through Mark Scheifele on the left wing spot. But the same thing is happening down low on the goal line. He's a threat to shoot. He's a threat to pass. He's always a threat. You better pay attention when Gabriel Velarde has the puck, or else it's ending up in the back of your net, essentially, whether it's coming from him, Scheifele, Morrissey, Connor, or in the high slot from Monahan. It's a beautiful thing to watch right now, and they figured it out. And this is one thing. I mean, we were critical when critical behavior was required. But what did Rick Bowness say during that entire stretch, Sean? We haven't had these guys together at all. Well, now they've been together, and that 0 for 22 is now 8 for 16. And thanks to that 50% clip, Sean, the Jets have gone from about 27th in the NHL on the power play. Right now, they're 22nd and operating at 18.1%. Have they got it all figured out? No. Are they going to go through another cold stretch? Quite possibly. But what they have figured out is that they have a lot more options when they move the puck smartly and get some shots off quickly. And right now, honestly, the power play has become a weapon, where before it was a momentum sapper. Now it's a momentum builder, and that's impressive.
The key for this power play right now, and what you find with a whole bunch of different power plays, is the ones that are successful usually have one thing that works really, really good. Okay. And I agree with you. Mark Scheifele looks dangerous now. Kyle Connor is looking dangerous right now. Sean Monahan, when he was in that bumper spot, was looking dangerous. We saw Josh Morrissey take a shot from the point and redirect to the front of the net. The thing that is making this power play special right now is Gabe Velarde, because once now that you have Mark Scheifele taking that shot and forcing that defenseman or that defender to defend against him, it is making so much room for Gabe Velarde. But once he gets it, it's what he does with that room. Now, if you think about Gabe Velarde, Blake Wheeler used to play in that spot. Velarde's a big guy like Blake Wheeler, but what he does that is entirely different is he faces an entirely different way. So Blake Wheeler used to stand and have his feet behind the red line, and he'd get the puck and then he'd try and put the pass through. But standing behind the red line like that means he's not a threat to score on the short side. You know, I think I remember him doing it once where he kind of moved the puck up and people weren't challenging him and he put it short side. But for the most part, he's got to make a move before he gets there. So he's looking for the pass and he allows the team to defend against the pass. If you are the defender, whether it was Chicago the other night or tonight against the Coyotes, Ken, what are you choosing to defend if you are defending against Gabe Velarde? Because you have to respect his pass to the bumper because he's making it so often. And you have to respect his pass to Kyle Connor. But you also have to respect what we saw from him tonight, that if you don't get on him right away and abandon shutting down that passing lane, that he'll just take it hard to the net. There's a very good chance he'll score there as well. The amazing part about this, Ken, and I love this because the whole reason Sidney Crosby uses a flat stick is because the backhand, he's allowed to have as strong a backhand as a forehand, and the backhand is a indefensible play, right? Gabe Velarde has found a cheat code in this because he's got a big body and because he turns his back to the play and faces the corner or the back boards with his front body, which sounds crazy. Like if I said to you, the guy who's going to be like setting up the majority of the stuff that is working on the power play is actually facing away from the play, it would kind of blow people's minds because he shouldn't be able to do that. But because he's got that big reach, he can turn his body and then have the puck in tight and then move it all the way across the front of the net, which he threatened to do tonight, which the goalie bid on. And then he pulled it back and put that in. He can pull it back and he can shoot and score. If you're trying to get the puck off him, guess what, Ken? You can't, because his body is in between he and the puck, and you're not able to get to the puck on him and get rid of it. But as soon as you move in to try to do so, you've abandoned the lane. And if you abandon the lane to the bumper, that's where the puck goes. If you abandon the pass across to Kyle Connor, that's where the puck goes. He's got an uncanny ability, Ken, to be right over and over and over again in sending the puck to the right space and doing so with his back to the play. Now, he talked about it. It was interesting. Basically, if you need me to explain this to you people, he's like the Terminator. You see Terminator 2 when he walks into the bar and he needs clothes and he goes and he sizes everyone up with his cyborg eyes and all. That's what Gabe Vilardi has. He has cyborg eyes because when he's taking the pass, he's assessing the play and he's looking, oh, that's not open, that's not open, that's not open. Oh, and then he sees this highlighted area and it goes all yellow and it stands out in his vision. And he's like, there's the passing lane. And then he doesn't look. No one knows where the pass is going. And because it's a backhand, you never really know where it's going to end up. So no one knows where the puck is going until it's going to where it needs to be going. And he's getting it right. He's getting to the open man time and time again. What he's doing right now is near indefensible, Ken. The Winnipeg Jets power play right now is on a clip where, to me, I don't remember the Jets power play being this hot since the Patrick Laine days. And back then, Patrick Laine was the cheat code. Just like for years with the Washington Capitals, Alexander Ovechkin was the cheat code. You get these super, super power plays because you've got one guy doing something that's indefensible. Patrick Laine's shot was indefensible. Right now, his ability to be a threat to score, a threat to pass, and to do it in a way that you really can't pick up where he's sending that pass to. Gabe Vilardi is indefensible right now, which is why you cannot stop the Winnipeg Jets power play.
Yeah, and it's he was very nonchalant, right? When we were trying to drill down on the details, right, Sean? You were asking him. I was trying to get him to bite. So was everybody else in that scrum, and he gives you enough, but he doesn't want to give you the caramel secret. That was kind of
you can't give away the caramel secret.
Right?
Hey, I remember being a kid and thinking to myself, when are we going to finally find out about the caramel secret? It's never happened. You don't give away the caramel secret. And that's why Gabe Vilardi's not giving away the caramel secret.
Right. And same with Scheifele, but like the Mutual Admiration Society is obviously there for a reason. And we've seen this too. I mean, we always talk about pulling behind the curtain. Sean, we've seen this at a lot of the practice. I mean, the Jets aren't going to practice a ton down the stretch run here, but what we've seen from Gabriel Vilardi, from Mark Scheifele, from Kyle Connor, these guys are, and Josh Morrissey, they're always talking. After practices, they're like going out and hitting 1-tees, and they're like, hey, what about this? What about that? What about this? Like, no one was more angry about the struggling power play than the people that were on the power play. So it's easy for us to figure it out. I mean, easy in brackets, but those guys went to work, they went into the lab and they figured it out. And I agree with you. This is a 5-man unit that's really gelling, but the biggest difference is Gabriel Vilardi has been absolutely on fire. Yes, the biggest difference in personnel is Monahan, but it's not just a 1-person deal. It's a 5-person deal. One thing too, I mean, a lot of people have been asking about Cole Perfetti, and we'll get to him in a second, but I understand why Alex Iafallo was used on the top unit, Sean, because they like his retrievals and everything else. But to me, this would have been a great chance. I understand completely why Rick Bowness has gone Cole Perfetti on the 4th line in an effort to kind of release valve the pressure for him. But I would have liked to have seen Perfetti in the bumper spot, given his passing ability, the way that he can handle the puck. Yes, he's more comfortable on the half wall, but I would have loved to have seen him in that on that top unit with Monahan on, even if it was just for the one game. But anyways, that's another topic entirely. But And it's so important. And Gabriel Velarde talked about it. Like, this is a night where the Jets aren't great 5-on-5. Their foundation is not, showed a few cracks. But the power play, this is what we were talking about before. They used the power play to win the special teams battle, to win the game. And that sometimes is important when you don't have your best, and you're not going to have your best every night. It's not always a Picasso. Rick Bowness had tipped to Claude Noel. But when you don't have your best, you need the power play to pick you up on occasion. And that's exactly what the Jets power play has done during this stretch of time where they've somehow won 6 of 7 without having their best. Well, in 3 of those nights, no, sorry, 4 of those nights, they had 2 power play goals in each game. You're not going to run the table like that. But if you can turn your power play into a momentum builder, like the Jets have, it's important. And sorry, I want to say one thing. One other great job on the Wasak night here by the Jets. I know Julie Sue had mentioned it earlier on. Looked sharp out there. People were into it. Tunes were blasting. Looked good out there today.
Did look good. Hey, I just want to go. I'm going to go out on a limb here because I'm brave like that. But I'm going to go out and say, Ken, the Winnipeg Jets going out and trading Pierre-Luc Dubois and getting Gabe Velarde back. Hey, I'm ready to say it. That really paid off, everybody. And hey, if you're looking to pay off high interest credit cards or debt, we suggest you go talk to our friends at Cambrian Credit Union about their payoff loan. They can show you how taking out a loan to pay off your debt actually gets you debt free faster, and you can save thousands of dollars. Go to cambrian.mb.ca to book an appointment online. Am I the first one to say that, Ken? Am I the first one to declare that the Winnipeg Jets might have been onto something with that trade? There you go.
I don't think so.
There you go. You don't think so? Well, listen, I feel like I'm on the forefront of that wave. I think I should probably do that. Hey, you know what? We should do this right now because I want to get that back out there. I'm going to give a wake up, the Pristine Roofing wake up to the Winnipeg Jets as a whole. Listen, I get it. They're winning. They're doing all those kind of things. This isn't the blueprint. I'm going to say wake up, and maybe they want to take their time. Maybe they want to be casual. It doesn't look like a lot of other teams in the league right now are really playing lights out. So there's really, the Jets are climbing. They're getting themselves into a good spot. I just say, let's hope. I'm going to say this right now and send it out into the universe. And hopefully at some point between now and the middle of April, they get the wake-up call that this kind of hockey isn't probably what they should be doing heading into the playoffs. So let's give them the Pristine Roofing wake-up call, and you know what to do. That means it's time to give North End Rick the Pristine Roofing wake-up call at 1-204-981-6289. He's the guy you talk to for any of your roofing, siding, exterior needs. He'll come on down, tell you exactly what needs to be done. You can also call Pristine Roofing at 1-204-237-7663. Another reason you want to talk to North End Rick, folks. He announced it, or we announced it on our last show. I saw he announced it a little bit more today. Pristine Roofing is going to hand out a free roof to someone who needs it. They want to take care of the community out there, so they want to go and do a free roof for somebody out there who needs it. So what they need is your help to pull this off. Anyone that you know in your life, family member, friend, someone who lives down the street, just a house that you pass by and you see someone working out on their yard and they just can't seem to get that roof done. North End Rick wants to hear about who you think deserves a free roof. So get a hold of him, pass that along. Let's try and bestow this on someone who's extremely deserving and make sure that Pristine Roofing accomplishes what they are trying to do here, which is be great corporate citizens here in the city of Winnipeg and try and make someone's year absolutely with such a generous offer. Good on them. Ken, you wanted to do, you wanted to talk about Perfetti. Go to Perfetti. I give you the floor.
Yeah, a couple people were asking, including John Chan, I believe. Didn't notice him much, is what he said. So this is what we saw from Cole Perfetti today. Quiet day, but mostly quiet because that fourth line didn't get a ton of shifts, especially in the third. Just 9 shifts for 744 for Perfetti. I said the other day I actually quite liked his game. I thought he was generating a little bit more offense in the game against Chicago today. No shots on goal, no shot attempts, no takeaways, no giveaways. So again, it was a pretty nondescript outing for Cole Perfetti. Dom, I think Zappia was asking, would it make sense? Here we go. Should Perfetti be? Hang on a sec, just one sec. Should Cole
Okay, sorry.
Perfetti be sent down for a couple of weeks so we can get some confidence back? It's an interesting question. I, I don't. I'm not there yet personally, but is it something that should be considered? I don't know. I think that Cole Perfetti at game 100 and something, I don't think that he needs a stint in the minors to get his confidence back. But you know, I don't know. I guess you don't rule it out. But I personally, Sean, I don't know if you disagree, but that's not where I'm at right now. But if this drags on for 2 more weeks, maybe you consider it. But I don't know. I think that Cole Perfetti's played his last game in the American Hockey League personally. But I mean, maybe you feel differently.
Okay, so this is, in my opinion, this is a dangerous game to play if you're the Winnipeg Jets. If you actually think, and let me just come right out up front and say, I don't think the Winnipeg Jets are even close to considering this, nor
Right.
will they. I
That's what I'm
don't think that
saying.
this is a possibility. So let's just go down that road. But if they were to, if we go down that road, if they were to, leaving it 2 weeks puts them into a little bit of a difficult spot, right? Because
Sure.
basically what you're doing in this situation is pushing you closer and closer to the trade deadline. And what you have to consider right now is if they are seriously in a spot where they're like, this kid needs a confidence boost, we need to send him down to the Manitoba Moose to see what happens. You're sending him down with a question mark. You don't know what's going to happen. The assumption
Right.
is he's going to go down there, he's going to get his confidence, he's going to do well, he'll be back up and he'll be ready to go. But there's also a possibility that if you pulled something like that, it didn't go as well as planned, and he didn't
Right.
get the confidence boost that you're looking for, which basically means if you are thinking of sending Cole Perfetti down to the AHL, you're basically at the stage where you're saying, we don't know enough about him to know that he will be ready to pull on the rope come playoff time. If he needs to go down and build his confidence in the AHL, you can't be like, that's the guy that we're going to have locked into the lineup. And you essentially have to go address him at the trade deadline and fill his spot, which is something that we've been talking about on this show, Ken. I think it's a big question if you're the Winnipeg Jets and you've been through what you've been through and you have had years past where you didn't get to where you want to, but now you're getting the results from your players. They're giving you, unlike last season, Ken, when I advocated for them to not do anything at the trade deadline because they didn't show they were deserving of help. They didn't show that they were a serious contender. This year, they're showing they're a serious contender. Connor Hellebuck is locked down long term. Mark Scheifele is locked down long term. The future is now. It's now for the Winnipeg Jets. So if they have a belief, and I think they do, that they can win the Stanley Cup this year, then you have to address all issues. And one of those issues, if we're at the stage of wondering whether or not Cole Perfetti is able to get this done, one of those issues is going to have to be addressing him and making sure that you've got someone in that spot that can get the job done. Now, whether that's him or it's not him, that's the question that has to be answered. But this is bad timing for Cole Perfetti to be going
Sure.
as quiet as Cole Perfetti is going. It seems like someone on the opposing team goes out of their way to run him every single game now. I don't know about you, Ken, but like I feel like I'm having a hard time remembering the last time he wasn't laid out by the opposition. I'm going to be honest with you. Someone was talking about how the Coyotes responded tonight and the fight with Adam Lowry, and they thought that that was the right thing. We've talked about the balance of the Winnipeg Jets. Some people were talking about last game in Chicago, how the Jets didn't respond to Connor Hellebuck, their best player, getting, hit like that. At some point, I'm thinking if Cole Perfetti keeps getting run the way he's going, I'm starting to question why someone wouldn't step up at this stage and just send the message. There's not a
Right.
free pass on running this 5'10", 5'11" young player finding his way in the league. I think he could use a little bit more support from his teammates in that regard. But maybe the Winnipeg Jets say, listen, we're out here and our focus is always first and foremost on winning the game and not getting retribution. But Cole Perfetti looks to me like the kind of guy who would benefit from that, like someone coming and running him and
Yeah.
someone
Yeah.
stepping in and taking care of that, feeling like the team has, his back in that situation. A lot of people are out there going to say they think I'm a Neanderthal for that and that doesn't have any effect in the game. You have your opinion. I have mine. I think a kid like that would be able to take something like that and it would maybe give him a little bit of a boost.
Boost.
But I'll say this, I talked about it last show, and Cole Perfetti was sent down to the fourth line. And to me, now it's incumbent upon him to play his way up to that fourth line, or he is in very much danger of either being a black ace come the playoff time, because I don't know exactly if he's what you want in your fourth line, or B, ends up being trade bait to bring someone in to fill the hole that maybe the Jets don't think he's ready to fill yet. This second game, and we talked about this a little bit. Nate Schmidt finds his way back into the game because how we talked about Logan Stanley, he'd started showing the things Logan Stanley needed to do, and then he turned around and showed you the things that have been keeping Logan Stanley out of the lineup in that game in Chicago, where he turns the puck over and then gets caught with his man passing him by, and it's what starts the comeback for the Chicago Blackhawks. At this stage, if you're Cole Perfetti, I think you are dropping into the place where you're now basically, never mind fighting to get up to that second line. If that line establishes itself, and if Iafallo finds a way to make himself valuable on that line, and Monahan gets back, that's one thing we missed tonight, was not seeing those three together and seeing if they could increase their chemistry, something we wanted to see from last game. But if they manage to lock themselves in and find something that works there, now all of a sudden Cole Perfetti is basically in a fight for his life to stay on the fourth line, which plays a very specific style of game that does not necessarily go along with Cole Perfetti's style of game. Now, all of a sudden, if he loses that spot, if that second line is able to establish itself, he's in a dogfight to stay in the lineup all of a sudden. Because do you want Rasmus Kupari on that wing, maybe creating havoc, using his speed to break things up? Or do you want Cole Perfetti and just maybe that hockey IQ sneaks you some goals here or there? I'm not saying one is the answer or the other is, but if the Jets decide that they want to try and overwhelm their opposition, I can see Cole Perfetti finding himself in the press box in some playoff games. And it really is, it's a player right now that's moving in the wrong direction. So I can see and understand the idea of people saying, if you're moving in the wrong direction, does it move you right down? Do you fast forward it down to the AHL to try and build yourself back up? I feel like I get where the question's coming from. I don't think that will happen, but I don't think it doesn't mean that Cole Perfetti is somewhat backing himself into a corner on this Winnipeg Jets roster.
And just a quick one before we turn the page here. Elias McCracken, how would he clear to go down to the Moose? Cole Perfetti is in the third year of his entry-level contract, so this is the last opportunity for him to go to the Moose without waivers. And again, I'm not suggesting he go there, but the debate, Sean, is Cole Perfetti better off playing 20 minutes in the American League, getting more puck touches and potentially getting his shooting mentality back better than playing 744 on the fourth line? I personally think he's going to work his way out of it, but at the same time, a healthy scratch is the other consideration, right? Or now you're wondering if a healthy scratch makes sense.
Good timing, Julie. That's a current comment you made there. You didn't copy and paste that from last season, so very good. Way to stay on the ball on that, Julie. Julie likes to openly argue with me in the show. She's a fun one. I like that stuff. Ken, we got to get to it. Do you have got a Johnston Group got you covered play of the game?
Yeah, I actually, he's getting some abuse in the chat room, but Mason Appleton on a great back check on a 2-on-1 stripped the puck from a Coyotes player and got it going the other direction, and that was my choice as the Johnston Group play of the game. There were a couple other ones that stood out, but that was my choice.
I'll go with that. Only because of timing, though, Ken. I would like to argue with you because I'm definitely I'm in double T mode. I'm full on wrestling heel tonight. But
you can argue with me when the show is over. It's okay.
There you go. I'll bring it. I'll bring that energy then. But hey, in the meantime, do you run a small business in Canada? If you do, you need to look to Canada's #1 employee benefits plan, Chambers Plan, to give you a competitive edge. Chambers Plan is the simple, stable, smart choice for over 30,000 businesses countrywide. Visit chamberplan.ca to learn more. That's the Johnston Group, Kenny and Renny OGs. Kenny, do you ever just sit back every once in a while and be thankful of the ride that the Johnston Group's been on with us? Like every once in a while, I take a look and I see this nationwide company that is, as large and respected, and the fact that they have chosen to hang out with us this long. Kenny and Renny OGs, they're it. They are it. What do you got to say,
Ken?
Do
me a favor. Sorry, my computer screen is messing up. I couldn't put the banner up there. Can you throw it
Oh,
up
you
there
couldn't
for a
get the
minute or
banner?
two?
I can.
Sorry,
Well,
my screen is
here.
completely
Let's.
frozen.
Oh
It's
boy,
not great.
man. And you guys all thought I was the guy in charge of the
And I'm gonna
technical
sorry in
issues. I
advance.
don't
I'm
think
gonna need you
so,
to do the
folks.
keg and
Oh God, do
lamplighter.
I have to do
You
everything
do,
here?
yes.
Jeez. Okay. Well, hey, you know who? In this case, Ken most definitely doesn't get the
You've got
Johnson
me
Group got you
covered.
covered. He does not get the got you covered, but that's okay. He's on other nights. He'll have me covered. It's just not tonight. So don't
Other nights.
nobody out there, don't you dare hand the Kenny and Renny OG award to this guy here because he most definitely doesn't have me covered tonight. But what he is going to have covered is a really great keg save of the game. What do you got, Ken?
Oh, a hellebuck on Matthias Michelli. I mean, there were a couple beauties in the game. There's no doubt about that. But the left pad save with Hellebuck seemingly down and out was absolutely excellent in the second period, and that is my choice for the keg save of the game.
See, I always look at these plays like that, Ken, and think like Maselli in that case just needs to take a deep breath. He's got lots of time, pull the puck back and roof it and put it over the pad, right? But the one thing out of that is the mindset that you have on the ice when you've got a goaltender that just never stops battling. Like they talk about that with goaltenders. And when you never stop battling, it hey, you may only have 11% of a chance of stopping that puck. But if you are the guy who is constantly fighting and fighting and fighting, the odds just go up and up and up. And again, it's to me, I agree with you. This is the keg save of the game. And it reminds me of the last game where I don't think he touched the puck, but that puck is for sure in the net if he doesn't fight to get his body across the bottom of the net there, right? Did Maselli have time to pull the puck back and put it up top? Yeah, I think he
Maybe.
did. I think he had plenty of time to do it. And it's one of those situations where he looks back and is like, God, I had more time than I thought. But it doesn't matter because what the thing that Connor Hellebuck is never going to do for you is give you a free pass. That gets in your head. And those things end up being saves like that. Just the stretch to the where, like, I'll tell you this about Connor Hellebuck. His spatial awareness is outstanding. He knows he's lying down. He knows exactly where that post is. He knows where he's got to get that pad to. He covers it off to make sure that there's no chance of sliding that puck into the net. And that's why that save is made. And that's why it's yours and my keg save of the game. But it doesn't matter what you think, Ken. It doesn't matter what I think. It matters what our audience thinks. Share with us your, keg save of the game, and you are automatically entered to win a $50 gift certificate brought to you by our friends at the Keg, usable at any of the 3 fine keg locations here in the city of Winnipeg, each location finer than the last. And the winner from our last show is a commenter in the chat room, Terry, Terri. That's all there is. Terry, if this happens to be you, you need to direct message me at SN Sean Reynolds. Send me your full name and your email, and I will have the Keg send you a $50 gift certificate usable at any of the 3 fine keg locations here in the city of Winnipeg, each location finer than the last, which brings us, Ken, to the TCB, Trans-Canada Brewing Company Lamplighter of the game. What you got?
Yeah, I mean, I have to give honorable mention to Gabriel Velarde, and it's hard for me not to choose the Velarde shifting
You're
his
moving
hands
away from where I'm going.
as the goal of the game. But I sorry, like for all of the elements, including the Keystone Cops element of the 2 Coyotes players crashing into one another and falling down, creating a 3-on-1 the other direction. Just because Josh Morrissey notices it's a defenseman they're attacking, because Mark Scheifele has the wherewithal to pass the puck to the person at the top of the triangle on a 3-on-1 like you are always supposed to do but don't always remember to do, and because Josh Morrissey makes a perfect pass to Kyle Connor in the wheelhouse and Connor rips it home for his second of the game, second overtime winner in as many games, 9th overtime winner of his career, 7th game-winning goal of the season. I'm choosing the Kyle Connor second goal of the game and OT winner as the lamplighter.
Nice. Just before I move on and share my lamplighter, Julie Sue says, reminder, if you're in Winnipeg/surrounding area and want one of 2 free pizzas, put pizza pass, #pizza pass in the chat for a chance to win. Julie's going to, after the show, let me know who won. You know what I'm looking forward to, Ken, is around this time next year when Julie Sue copies and pastes this message into the chat next year, like she's been doing with so many of her comments, and then finds herself in a position where I need to go out and buy frozen pizzas for the people because she's promised these pizzas now. So Julie, just tag this one, highlight it, make sure that you're not copying and pasting this one into next year's show, which you just keep doing over and over and over again. My TCB, listen,
Stop
this
that.
is I'm full heel. I'm full heel today. There's no turning back. I've gone down the road. There's no turning back.
Right.
TCB, lamplighter of the game for me, is the one. You had it right the first time, Ken, and then you went in the wrong direction. What Gabriel Velarde did in that moment is absolutely phenomenal. He didn't need two of the three Coyotes players on the ice to pull a Larry and Curly.
There were four.
Leaving Mo all by himself, to defend on the other way. Larry, he didn't need those guys to give them all the time in the world for a 3-on-1. Gabe Velarde in that moment right there. And this is the reason why this is special, Ken, is what we saw with that overtime winner. That's a one-off. They scored. That's great. That's how it's going to go. That situation doesn't arise again. But now every team coming into play, the Winnipeg Jets, and looking at their power play, has to drop a plan to defend that power play. And one of the things they're going to have to do is they're going to have to park a guy closer to Gabe Velarde so he can't do that anymore. This is the kind of goal that is going to lead to even more open ice for the rest of the Winnipeg Jets power play folks. So I foresee this now leading to more Sean Monahan goals, more Kyle Connor goals, maybe more shots from the point, because what Gabe Velarde has done in this situation is said, if you just leave me with time and space in the front of the net, I can burn you. I can leave your goaltender's jock lying in the crease as I put the puck in the back of the net. So to me, this is one of these things that both benefits the Jets tonight. It benefits them going forward. That's why that is my lamplighter of the game. But it doesn't matter what I think, and it doesn't matter that Ken just bailed out of the show because he couldn't handle hearing the truth. Why? Because the truth hurts, right? See, this is how good. I'm getting good at this thing here. Anyways, I want to hear from you. Tell me what your your TCB lamplighter of the game is, and you will be automatically entered to win a Frosty Delicious 8-pack of Lamplighter Amber Ale, brought to you by our friends at TransCanada Brewing Company. If you can't wait for Kenny and Renny to gift you your very own 8-pack, you can head on down to TransCanada Brewing Company. Join them in their tap room. Lots of great beers, lots of great pizzas. I took the family there yesterday. It was absolutely phenomenal. They've got artichoke dip with like different vegetables and stuff to dip. That's one of my daughter's favorites. We got the gnocchi Frito, it's basically fried bread translated to Italian. That's what it was. Great stuff there. It is also where Kenny and Renny will be having their last live podcast of the year on April 6th. Come join us. It's going to be an absolute blast. Just go to Eventbrite, Kenny and Renny, April 6th. And that's how you can find those tickets. And that means it's time for me to announce our lamplighter winner of the evening. That would be Don Dawson. Don Dawson, you know what to do. Direct message me at SN Sean Reynolds. That is where you send me your full name, send me your email, and I will send you a voucher for a Frosty Delicious 8-pack of Lamplighter Amber Ale, brought to you by our friends at TransCanada Brewing Company. That's it for us here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank all of you in the chat room who have put up with my my heel persona here tonight, the truth teller, which I really think, let's be honest, I'm on to something that at some stage, I don't know if Frankie and the boys could put something together, but I'm going to need like a wrestling set of tights with the double T here. It's going to be good stuff. The truth. Hey, look at this. It's your boy Bruce says the truth hurts. Addictive. Great. There we go. Anyways, thank you to you. Let's not thank Ken. He bailed out early. He doesn't love you the way that I love you. Bring all your allegiance over to the truth teller. Bring it on over to Renny. And that's where your loyalties should be lying in the first place. This just hammers that point home. That's it for us. Before we go, I want to say, if you appreciate the conversations happening in this space, please appreciate the contributions by our sponsors who fight to keep the conversation going in this space for us. That's Cambrian Credit Union, Sweet Lou Furlan, Pristine Roofing and their wake-up call, Vittorio Rossi, the Johnston Group, the Keg, and of course, TransCanada Brewing Company. It was called for before, and I want to leave this with people before I do say goodbye. Let's make this an extremely late-breaking Kenny and Renny version, Sean's headband version of the Kenny and Renny Show. You know, now that he's not here, you can admit it, folks. That cartoon version of Ken is a perfect likeness of him. He doesn't like it because why? Because the truth hurts, ladies and gentlemen. That's what it is. Anyways, really appreciate everyone showing up here tonight. We're going to do it all over again on Tuesday. Tune into Kenny and Renny after that. Going to be lots to talk about, not only because of the game, not only because the Winnipeg Jets have absolutely owned the St. Louis Blues for a long time now, and that's a good chance that's going to happen again. We'll talk about that, of course, but of course, Gary Bettman in town, and we will have a conversation with him in the media, and we will tell you all about that conversation afterwards. Really big issue going on here, more to talk about when it comes to the attendance issue. So we're going to get into all that kind of stuff. So we would love to get into that, and we'd love to get into it with you folks. So join us on Tuesday after the game. It'll be great to see you. Have a good one, everybody.